everybody? Welcome to a very special edition of the 10-7 MMA. I'm DS, and I'm here with my guy, Dino Bam Bam, just like I have been for the last 12 months of this year.
Yeah, I've been here for 12 months.
Same.
In this chair. I haven't moved, really.
And, guys, what we're doing today, if you didn't already notice from the title of the video, is we wanted to really give just a nice recap of the year and just go into some of the big categories, some of the big winners of this year, some of the best moments that we've seen, best knockouts, best subs, right? So we've got 10 categories for them here today.
Yeah.
Should I go through the categories real quick just so everybody knows?
No.
No, just get to it later?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
you'll see, right? You watch, you see. And there'll be the little chapter things underneath if you really need to know, if you're like that thirsty about it. if you can't,
I think I'd like to know.
Us.
Yeah.
You know?
But listen, man, it's been a great year.
It's been very fun.
It's been a great year. Has it been like the best of years? We've been kind of spoiled in the last few, I would say.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think all in all, we'll look back on it as, you know, not like a top year, but it's the UFC.
Yeah.
Right? There are always amazing moments. There are always amazing knockouts, and there's plenty to talk about. But before we get into all that, Dino Bam Bam, tell them where they can find us.
You guys can find us here, right here on YouTube. You found us. Congratulations, first of all.
First step is done, yeah.
I love that you guys found us. Click the little subscribe button. I think it's right here. There's also a bell next to it. That's sort of the sound that the bell makes.
It's a swole bell.
Yeah, that's the swole bell today. But yeah, ring that bell, click that bell, dong it, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Do that. That notifies you when our videos drop. You can also follow us on Instagram at the107MMA, the same way it's spelled on this very channel. Dino, on that Instagram channel, by the way, we have a ton of pictures with a ton of fighters and stuff. A lot of which, the majority of Mitch?
Trubisky?
Shout
out Mitch Trubisky.
Shout out Mitch Trubisky. Never thought we'd do that.
Why didn't you finish the sentence with me? It would have been kind of cute if we both said it together at the same time.
I think I did. We'll have to do like an instant replay kind of thing.
I don't think you did.
But anyways, a lot of cool pictures we have with fighters on there, a lot of which we met this first year of doing the 10-7 MMA.
Yep.
Met a ton of cool ass people.
Fucking met literally like half the fighters on the roster. Very
dope.
Cool. I mean,
it was dope.
Yeah, going to Vegas was awesome. That was, I mean, that really knocked out like a bunch of them. I mean, we're not going to talk. This is really UFC focused, right? But shout out Patricky.
Shout out Patricky Pitbull.
I just want to say, like,
for us.
Man, that was awesome. That was like one of the coolest experiences. Getting to hang out with him for a weekend, basically. Yeah. Shout out Captain Eric. You know, I mean,
we met John Jones, bro.
Met John Jones.
Like,
it's been a good year, man.
It's been a hell of a year. I can't wait till next year. It's about to be more lit. But
I expect more out of 2024. Agreed. But let's give 2023 a quick recap. Like I said, we've got 10 awards that we're giving out in the first annual 10-7 MMA Awards. Let's get into it. The first award of the year, and it kind of makes sense, is the newcomer of the year. So we wanted to honor any fighter that made their UFC debut in 2023 and give them their due. And, man, you have a lot of good fighters to choose from. Yeah. But, Dino Bam Bam, who's your choice for newcomer of the year?
Yeah, so like you said, a ton of good fighters, a ton of really good fighters made their debut this year. For me, this one was pretty damn obvious, though. I think one of these guys has just kind of like surpassed everybody. And we know, or we think we know, he's a future title contender. And that, of course, is Bo Nickel.
Yeah, speak for yourself, but yes, respect.
I mean,
how can I possibly deny Bo Nickel at this point? Yeah. And if you do, you're just a hater at this point.
Absolute savage. You know, he comes from the world of wrestling, Penn State. Shout out Penn State wrestling, I guess. They're like you've mentioned this a couple times. They're like the Duke. Like what Duke is to college basketball. 100%. They're what Alabama is to football,
yeah.
to wrestling,
no
right?
question,
so,
man.
Bo Nickel, man, to me, he looks every bit the truth. 2 fights this year. 2 first-round finishes, both in huge pay-per-view spots. Not necessarily the toughest competition he's faced yet.
But listen, they're I wouldn't say they're bottom feeders.
I agree with you.
They're like not anywhere close to the rankings, but they're top 30 fighters, I would say.
Maybe, man.
Maybe. Or at least one of them.
Right. And shout out Val. We met him too.
Shout out Val.
Cool dude.
And shout out to Val for taking a fight against a guy that's so dangerous on such short notice.
And also, that was supposed to be, people forget, that was supposed to be our boy, Sean Gore.
Yeah.
Fighting.
I would have liked to see that
and
fight.
we went out to Vegas. One of the reasons we went out to Vegas was to interview Sean Gore before that fight.
We didn't want to mention it. We had teased it a little bit during the year, but we didn't end up doing it because Sean Gore, of course, got hurt. Little did we know, we spoke to Tresean like the night, like a few nights before, or the night before it was announced that he was out. and he had kind of hinted at it, but we didn't want to betray his trust, obviously, and
100%.
drop that kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
But we did know before, everybody else pretty much,
Yeah.
that we could have broken that news. But that's not what we do here at 10-7 MMA.
Also,
We got ethics.
and
Also, especially, like, if you're giving us a finger, we're not going to take a hand, right? Like, we respect it. You know, like, no, I mean, seriously, like, the connections that you have, you can't just, like, undermine it. Yeah, that's fucked up, yeah.
100%. But, yeah, for me, man, it's Bo Nickel. The dude looks like the truth. I think, Dino, within a couple years at most, this dude will be fighting for a UFC title or be damn close to it. The guy's the truth.
Listen, man, you saw the hands on display last time, too, right? Mm-hmm. And Val, I mean, he's not, like, the biggest guy, but, dude, that dude is jacked.
He's got power.
Power, and it's like... Bo Nickel was not afraid to throw hands at him. Props to Bo Nickel, man. Whatever you think about him, he's still calling out the likes of Hamzat, and I kind of believe it. I do feel that he is that confident in his abilities, and as a fighter, that's a massive part of your game.
Yeah.
If you're not confident in your abilities, maybe to a Delulu kind of level, like you have to be, right? So props to him. There's nothing I can say about that. Of course, I thought about it, right? When I was going through the list, of course I thought about it. For me, I have to go with Diego Lopez. 26 fights in his pro career. Finally made his debut. And just what a debut it was, right? He lost that first fight versus Movsar Evloev, but...
He showed who he was in that fight.
What were the closing odds on that fight? Can you look that up for me if you don't mind, Dino?
Sure.
But Movsar Evloev, undefeated. One of the top undefeated fighters in the sport, right? Dangerous... Got decent hands, dangerous in the ground too. Like, nobody gave Diego Lopez a single chance. What were the closing odds?
Minus 900.
Minus 900
plus
for Movsar Evloev. Plus 675 for the debuting Diego Lopez. Unbelievable, because he almost had the finish in that fight on several times. And that's just the debut, right? Mm-hmm. And it's technically a loss, right? But then after that, finished Gavin Tucker in the first round. A decent grappler in his own right. Triangle armbar in the first round within 1:38, right? And then he fought Pat Sabatini, who he made Pat Sabatini look beyond ordinary.
Yeah.
Right? I was literally 2 down on Pat Sabatini. He won his last fight, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. In like decent fashion, like pretty handily. And I was down on Pat Sabatini because of Diego Lopez, right? So to come in, almost beat Movsar Evloev, what's he ranked now, Movsar Evloev?
He's up there.
He's up there. He's up high in the division. What a person to debut against, right? Which is crazy. Like, he took it on short notice too. That's unbelievable. I'm not convinced that with a full camp that he wouldn't have beat him. So for me, it's got to be Diego Lopez. Unbelievable, and I'm very, very excited. I think he's here to stay, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to do. A couple of people I do want to mention, right? Elvis Brenner.
Absolute my boy.
Unbelievable, man.
It was really cool. I got to actually meet Elvis Brenner when we went to...
And he responded to your
the thing
our
on
Instagram post, yeah.
I got to meet him, and this was like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the him and Garam fight.
Yeah.
And he still had like the little gash.
The gash,
on his
dude,
head.
that was a brutal cut.
What a savage.
I mean, just think about that, right? Like, he came in fighting Garam, right? Who at the time was like so highly regarded, looked at like a future champ, basically. Mm-hmm. To come in, debut against him, and get fucked up bad, right? Like, he was getting laced, and he landed some shots here and there. He wasn't like, he kept doing his thing. He kept pushing forward. And then the gash. He looked like goddamn Ric Flair in 1996, right? Mm-hmm. If you know anything about WWE or WWF back in the day, I feel like part of the reason Ric Flair had bleach blonde hair was because he bled all the time, and the dramatic effect. Good, Like, it's just like, holy shit, like this guy's gushing, dude. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. So he had that whole effect going on, and it was in a terrible spot, the cut, too.
Yeah.
Bleeding all in his hair and his face. And to keep your composure and in the last minute get a knockout, unfucking believable. Unfucking believable.
Yep.
I mean, it was a very close, tight race for me between those 3 guys, Bo Nickel, Elvis Brenner, and Diego Lopez. But, yeah, just you got to shout him out, you know?
Also, I'll go ahead and shout out a couple other people. Ikram Aliskerov came through. You know, he kind of had the big hype having fought Hamzat before, being the only loss on his record was Hamzat. People were like, dude, he gave him his toughest fight.
It's funny because it's like literally Hamzat's like most famous knockout.
Right, but
it was
a close fight for what it's worth, I guess. Yeah, he's been good, right? He's been as advertised. Maybe not quite as advertised now, but the Bonfim brothers kind of had their time early this year. They were looking great. You know, we've seen that kind of dwindle, but they've kind of stamped their place. And then Luana Santos, your girl, I believe.
Yeah. Well, you know, Luana Santos.
Well, you know, I'm just happy. She is a my girl now for what she did. For who she beat and how she beat her.
You mean your choice for female fighter of the year?
No. My choice for y'all's girl of the year, Juliana Miller. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah. Hold on. That's a category we might have to add for next year.
Yeah, we'll do a vote thing on that.
Y'all's
we'll put it
girl
up on YouTube.
Y'all's girl and y'all's boy of the year, which is hilarious. It's like who we hated the most this year.
Okay, this year, y'all's girl of the year, really quickly, let's get out of the way.
Juliana Miller.
Y'all's boy of the year.
It's no question.
Has to absolutely go to
Louis Smolka.
Right?
Every year.
It has to, yeah, he's the award winner every year. You know what I also found out? Not to
Who were you gonna say though?
Louis Smolka.
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah.
So you know what's funny? UFC 264, McGregor and Dustin 3.
Yeah,
that we went to.
We were there.
Sean O'Malley fought on that card. He fought Chris Moutinho.
Yep, he beat the shit out of him.
Chris Moutinho was a short notice replacement.
He was supposed to be fighting Louis Smolka. Yep,
piece of shit.
I would have loved to.
Oh my god,
would I love to have seen him knock.
I enjoyed the O'Malley, fight, but it would have been good to see him fuck this dude up.
It would have been awesome.
Yeah.
It would have been awesome. But anybody else you want to mention? I mean, it's been a nice year. I will say also, just as a side note, Dana White's Contender Series has been.
It's great.
It's become an institution.
Yeah.
Let's say that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's the premier feeding ground into actual decent UFC fighters, and they have a pretty good success rate. I'm not saying it's 100%, but so. Anyway, moving on to the second category of the first annual 10-7 MMA Awards.
Hey.
We're going with Comeback Fighter of the Year. What does that mean? It's somebody who has been on, let's say, at least a 1-year hiatus.
Okay.
Right? So it's not Comeback Win of the Year. That's the category we're going to do right after this. Mm-hmm. Comeback Fighter of the Year. Somebody who hasn't fought in a while, came back and did their thing. I'll go first on this one.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go with one guy, and I know you're picking him, so I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with John Jones. This would have been a much easier pick for me, I will say, between the two that I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. If John Jones had ended up fighting Stipe again, and I do think he would have brutalized Stipe.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm still going to go with him just because he really is the GOAT. You have to take into most of these situations in this awards realm, right? You have to take into account the weight of the moment, the gravity of the situation, right? So for me, Comeback Fighter of the Year, the GOAT is finally back, finally made his highly anticipated heavyweight debut, taking on somebody who, and let's be real, you guys might be hiding now. I've already admitted to this on this very show. I'm ashamed of myself for picking against him, but there were a lot of us, and I know there were, so don't fucking deny it now. But I just want to say, despite that being his only win, we all should have seen it coming, but we didn't. John Jones came in within half a fucking round, took Cyril Gane down, made him look like a little baby, and choked him out. Didn't put him to sleep, choked him out. He made him quit really quickly. So had he fought Stipe, and I know he would have won that. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Do you disagree?
No.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So we know he would have won that. I know it's only a one-fight sample, but because he's the GOAT, I have to go with John Jones for Comeback Fighter of the Year.
Took a sip at the worst time.
My bad. I should have recognized.
Yeah, that would have been like some professional shit. We're gonna work on it. It's only year one. You know what I'm saying? We're getting this shit going.
Yeah.
But John Jones, I love the pick, and it was between the two guys that we're talking about. John Jones being one. I decided to go with another guy, a former champion.
Yep.
A guy that was on a 3-fight losing streak.
Does he get love?
He gets no love.
That's right.
He was on a 3-fight losing streak, I think all via knockout.
Yeah.
Sat out a year, came back, won a fight.
Yeah.
And then got...
Not all via knockout. He went to decision with Rob Font, which in itself, how bad he looked was like...
Well, I'm talking about the 3 before that, before his win.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, so three fights in a row, all by finish.
All by finish.
Sat out a year.
All by like straight, like first, second round punches for the dome, yeah.
Sat out a year, came back, got a knockout.
The whole narrative is his chin is done.
And then lost twice.
Yeah.
And people started making fun of him. Cody no love. Cody no chin.
I mean,
all that shit. For me,
we literally said that on the last fucking show that we did.
Yeah.
We were like...
You always worry about Cody Garbrandt.
Exactly, you're worried.
Dude, look, man, for me, Comeback Fighter of the Year, it's Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah. And that's who I really wanted to pick. But it was close enough.
Yeah.
Where I just wanted to differentiate it because I just want to say real quick, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If it's not close, I'm not going to pick somebody different just because we're both picking the same. You'll see that later. We're going to pick the same. But, just have to say that because it was close, but realistically, Cody at least had 2 fights.
That's what I'm saying, right? So, Cody Garbrandt, no fights last year in 2022. He had 3 fights canceled. Then he came back this year, went 2-0. The first one being Trevin Jones at UFC 285. Unanimous decision. He looked really good in that fight, man.
He did.
He looked sharp. He started doing the shuffle.
Man, he looked so damn good. Yeah. I also just want to say, the 2022 fights, when you look at the dates of the cancellations, are kind of wild. They weren't like back-to-back. It wasn't like, it was like canceled, and then like he's fighting like 2-3 weeks. It was like, try again. Like, nope. It was like, it was March, July, October. So it was just like...
They were trying, I don't know. But regardless of what it was, he came back. The Trevin Jones fight, he looked good, man. He looked like himself. The feet shuffling, he had that sauce about him. I was worried, like when you see Cody start doing that shit, you get like...
Yeah, because you're like, just worry about your chin, bro.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. But yeah, and then, man, last week, Brian Keller, he put him out with a nasty knockout in the first round. Shout out Cody, no love, man. He's my award winner for Comeback Fighter of the Year. So John Jones for you, Cody Garbrandt for me. Special shout out I want to do, even though he's not a UFC guy.
Yes, please.
We talked about this.
Oh, my goodness.
Absolute our boy, Impa Kasanganay, over in the PFL. From being cut in the UFC.
Not just cut.
Right.
Being the most highlighted knockout, the knockout of the year.
And,
on the receiving end.
Right, so being put on a highlight reel. He's on the little, the open...
Like fencing response.
Right, he's on the opening for the, little UFC thing when they're showing it. Impa's on that super viral knockout, right? Then he goes, he fought an Eagle FC. He got kind of like robbed of a decision there. Yep. Went and fought Jared Gooden on some like regional show to going into the PFL Challenger Series, which is like sort of their version of Dana White's Contender Series. Right, exactly. Winning there, getting voted in to be a part of the PFL tournament, fighting at 205. Mind you, Impa is an 85er / a 170 guy.
Realistically.
Fighting at 205 in the PFL, goes on to win the in-season tournament and get himself $1 million, and now he's the world champion at PFL at a weight that isn't his.
So, and there's people that hit hard at that weight.
So super amazing comeback for Impa.
Yeah, it's not within the realm of what we're talking about, but you got to mention it. If you're an MMA fan at all, if you follow that at all, very fucking impressive. Yeah. And you forgot to mention, he's $1 million richer.
He's $1 million richer.
I mean, that's, for him personally, probably the best part about all of it, realistically. Yeah. So
amazing.
Anyways, moving on. We're on the 3rd award of the official annual 10-7 MMA Awards.
Let's go.
Comeback win of the year. Okay. I'll go first on this one again. For me, it was very close between a couple of different fights, right? Mm-hmm. And I have to go. I'm going to have to go with somebody I already mentioned, Elvis Brenner versus Guram Kutateladze, right?
Great fight.
It's a great fight. It's the fact that it was... You could also potentially throw this in if we had like an upset of the year category. Do we have that?
We don't.
Didn't we talk about it?
We did.
Should we do?
We'll think about it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll think about it. We'll see. But it's a definite contender, at least Vegas odds wise, for upset of the year. I've already kind of recapped it, so I don't want to go too much into it. Yeah. But to make your debut against such a dangerous opponent, and not just a dangerous opponent, somebody who hurts people, and yeah, I mean to last that long and have such a bad cut, your vision's obscured, and then to go on and to get the finish against somebody who has not been finished in the UFC, unbelievable. For me, I have to go with Elvis Brenner.
Yeah, and it's fair. And Elvis, think about that. He was like nominated in our like newcomer of the year. He's winning an award here for comeback.
I have high hopes.
Yeah, he really made his he stamped himself in here. He's a part of the UFC now. Like he's legit involved.
Can I be honest? I don't remember. We can go back and probably look at the film of like our first fight breakdown of him after we watched all the film. Yeah. I don't remember being that high on him.
I feel like I was, just because I do love the shoot the box guys. The shoot the box Diego Lima guys, yeah.
I think I was higher on Diego Lopez than I was Elvis Brenner.
Yeah, maybe.
He looks so casual, and then he gets it. He's a monster, man.
He's an absolute beast.
Goodness.
But yeah, filthy fight, filthy comeback. For me, I'm going a little more recent than that. For me, it's back in November at UFC Vegas 81. Edson Barbosa, Sadiq Youssef, man, the main event.
Dude. Oh, my God.
Filthy. Like, absolutely filthy. Seeing a veteran like Edson Barbosa versus not necessarily a young up-and-comer, but a younger ranked guy who's kind of still making his way up the rankings in Sadiq Youssef. Killer, jacked-looking dude, hits hard as hell. Oh, my
God. I mean, he was a top, what?
He was top 10.
10? Yeah.
He was a top 10 dude. He had Edson Barbosa looking like he was absolutely done early in that fight.
He was beating him up.
We talk about, he was kicking his ass. The fight could have been finished. It was a 10-8. It might have been a 10-7.
Yep.
Little plug right there. It was. Yeah. He whooped his ass in that first round.
Big time, man.
And then he somehow survives it. Edson Barbosa does. Comes back and just dominates the rest of that fight and really shows that there is levels to this shit.
No question.
And gets himself a win. Honorable mention, this was the other fight you wanted to talk about. Davey Grant versus Rafael Assunção.
Absolutely.
Dude, he was losing the fight. The reason that... Okay, so Davey Grant was losing that fight badly on the scorecards. Mm-hmm. In the third round, he finds himself on the ground underneath, decides to grab the fence. Yeah. A point gets deducted from him. Yep. He knows... They take a point from me. They don't get the position anymore. I'm back on the feet.
Yeah. He took. Do you think he took a calculated risk?
100%.
Yeah.
And then the last minute, he throws some spinning bullshit, drops the dude, gets on him, inverted triangle for the finish, like a Hail Mary submission, and he hits it. So Davey Grant, the reason he can't win this is because he cheated. That's how I feel about it.
He did cheat. He did cheat.
Yeah. It was intense, man.
But still a great moment.
All right, speaking of moments.
Speaking of moments, moving on to the next category. It's the fourth award in the first annual 10-7 MMA Awards. It's Moment of the Year. Okay. And you might be thinking to yourself, hey, DS, what's moment mean? And I'll tell you right now.
You look it up.
Oh, don't fucking look it up in the dictionary. I'll tell you right now. Just stay right here. Yeah. Moment of the Year. Of course, we have Fight of the Year, KO of the Year, Submission of the Year,
Y'all's Girl of the Year,
Blowjob of the Year. Put it in that thing a little bit of the year. Yeah. Right. That's fine. All those things considered. Moment of the Year for me is just a category overall. It doesn't have to be a specific fight. It doesn't have to be a specific submission or finish, right? It doesn't even have to be something within a fight. It's just, as we're giving a review of the 2023 year for the UFC, it's just the general moments that that drew our attention in, right? Yeah. The general moments that made us feel something, right? Whatever it might be, the gravity of all those things considered. And let's be honest, if I'm saying something is the K of the year, I'm not going to pick it for the moment of the year and vice versa, right? So it gives us an opportunity to also discuss things that we haven't chosen for one of those categories.
Yeah.
But very important, and listen, these are still human beings at the end of the year, right?
Yep.
And we are human beings as people that watch this. And as toxic of a community as this is, we all have emotions. There are many, many moments in 2023 that made me feel something. How goddamn hyped did you feel when Izzy knocked out Pereira?
Very.
I was watching that by myself, screaming at my TV.
Yeah.
And how hyped did you feel when... And I know you weren't, but when there were certain submissions, Sean O'Malley knocked out Aljamain.
Right.
When how about this last weekend when Dricus and Duplessis,
Sean Strickland,
when Sean Strickland and Duplessis went in the crowd on some WWE shit,
something in a press conference, something like anything like that can be moment of the year.
I'm sure there would have been a moment of the year if Ian Gary actually showed up to the press conference.
Yes,
but he did.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think you get the gist of it, right? So Dino, what is your moment of the year?
For me, man, it's very simple. It was for me at the halfway point. It still is at this point.
What did we say at the halfway point? Do you remember?
Yeah.
What did we each say?
So I went with this. I went with Israel Adesanya defeating Alex Pereira. Just the moment, Dino. The knockout itself was nasty. The arrows.
Oh.
The look in it, him going and mocking Alex Pereira's kids,
that's
right?
That's fucking hilarious.
And then just like the post-fight
That's so funny.
You can just feel Israel Adesanya there fighting his boogeyman, this guy that chased him into another sport, this guy that constantly beats him, the hurdle he can't get over, right? And
the hurdle that he literally in a different sport, like you said, couldn't get over.
Yeah, he just can't get over.
First fight, months before.
And he just can't get away from this guy. Can't get away from this guy. Can't get away from this guy. Fights him, loses. He's winning, he loses. Like, it was a whole thing. And it was
think about if you had that in your life.
Oh, it's
like,
terrible.
imagine if, like, you were going to hoop.
And there's just this guy, like...
It's this fucking guy who's
fucking
there just, like, always got a personal fucking vendetta with you.
I hate him.
And you're like, bro, I'm just trying to chill and hoop.
Right.
And this guy's like singling, he, like, doesn't go hard on anybody else.
Just
It's
you.
singling you out, fucking you up.
So
Like, you'd hate that.
I would hate it.
And then what if
that's-
you went home, like, to eat, and, like, this guy's just, like, text you a fucking picture of him eating. He's like, I'm eating better than you, my guy.
Right, like you're eating Chipotle. This guy's at some, like, nice restaurant.
Like, oh my God, I'm just
Leave me the
eating.
fuck alone, bro.
Like, can I have a meal?
So here's the thing, right? So with that moment, you know, and you mentioned this at the mid-year way when we were talking about this. It's like for Israel Adesanya, he went through like phases, man, and it was like you're like before that fight, people kind of forget, I guess. Izzy wasn't the champion at that point. Alex was the champion when
Right.
Izzy got that knockout. That was
of
to
course.
win his title
Yeah, of
back,
course,
right?
yeah.
So it was teetering for Israel Adesanya on the verge of like, man, this is sad. Because this is
sad,
like
bro.
a go to the sport. This fucking guy like chased him out of kickboxing.
And
He
especially
chased him out of here.
And especially because he didn't like. He wasn't like, oh, respect. Like he was like making excuses.
Yeah.
After
And
the
it
first
just
fight,
looked
and it was like, bro, this is goddamn 3 or 4 times he beat your ass.
Yeah.
Like,
and it looked like, hey man, this is probably it for Israel Adesanya. This is your last fucking chance. And to just have all of that come out in that one moment, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Of course, later on in the year, you know, ended up losing to Strickland, but like.
how about this?
At
Can I
that
say,
moment,
I'm sorry.
it was the at that moment. You got to put for moment of the year. You really got to put yourself back
In
that
the moment.
time.
You have to.
because a few months later, a few weeks later, it's different. We forget about it. We move on to some other shit.
No, if we were of lesser minds,
Yeah.
we wouldn't include that because it's like he got fucked up, dude. Like if we were of like the toxic mindset of the community,
Yeah.
that's how we would think.
Yeah.
But damn it, there was a point I was trying to make. Oh, here's what I want to ask you: DC and Jones.
Yeah.
I love DC, right? But John Jones is his daddy,
Yeah.
right? It could have been that situation.
It could have.
For Izzy, it could have been that kind of situation. And there's nothing, in my opinion, that'll take away more from you as an all-time great than that.
I feel you. I feel you.
And kind of rightfully so, man.
I feel that.
Like, and it's unfortunate. Like, damn, you were at the same time. You were there just at the same time as Cristiano Ronaldo. Like,
Charles
as
Barkley,
Michael Jordan.
Shaq,
you're Karl Malone, bro.
Right, you're
You know
Karl
what I
Malone,
mean?
exactly.
Like, sorry.
Not Shaq.
You know what I mean? Like, you're Charles Barkley. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, bro.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
so I just want to add that. But a couple other moments that were just incredible this year.
You didn't even mention yours. By
Oh, I didn't. And man, I'm really excited to mention this. We were at this particular card, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, my moment is Robbie Lawler's retirement.
Legend.
The entire thing, right? The fact that he's a goddamn legend. The fact that he has a top 3 fight of all time in the entire sport, right? And arguably, he has several top fights in the top 20, right? He never puts on a boring fight. And listen, this is the fight business, right? And what do they always say? There are no happy endings in the fight business, right?
Yeah, say no
So,
massage parlor, brother.
You're fighting, right? So to see somebody who's a goddamn legend, who is a true warrior, who has truly given his entire self to the sport, who has given some of the best fights in the sport, who's been a former champion, right? And a fight that he knows that it's his last fight. And for us to be there, and maybe this amplifies it for me, but go back and watch for everything from that entire fight. From the entrance, right? Mm-hmm. Coming out to the last of the Mohicans theme.
It was dope.
Right? To, like, just looking at his face walking out, you know? Like, you can tell he understood the gravity of the situation. To how the fight went. And it was against Nico Price, right? He's not a bad fighter. Nico Price is a good fighter. And let's be real. Robbie Lawler's last few fights before that, he didn't look great, man. I think on the show, too, I said, man, Robbie, retire, brother. Like, it's time. Like, and who am I to tell you? As a man, I'm sure it's tough for him now. And I'm sure it's even tough for him, even with how the fight ended, right? Because there's something within us all, right? I bet you even 80-year-old men, if they could, they would fight, right? Yeah. There's something within us all as men. So, for me, I can't imagine as a man who's done all this for the sport, all the wars that you've been through, knowing this is your last fight, and to end it with a beautiful uppercut knockout. There are no happy endings in the sport, but if there's somebody that I'm happy that it did happen for and who deserved it, it's goddamn Robbie Lawler. and the post-fight speech.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I'm a little biased. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I'm honored to be even on the internet talking about him. He is unbelievable, and I was dead ass. I was very emotional from the moment that I realized that fight was next, and him walking out, the whole duration of the fight.
They played the little like video and shit. Like,
yeah. It was the greatest goodbye I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Robbie, even probably now, and it's weird. It's weird. Like it's like that's the happy ending. This is the good ending, right?
Yeah.
But it's weird as a man, Dino. I feel like, of course, in his mind, he has to be thinking like, shit, like. I just beat Nico Price by first round brutal knockout. Like I got more to give, but looking back at the fights previous to that, at some point the end is here.
Yep.
And it's time, and he has a family, and I'm sorry I was long-winded on this. This is the one I probably feel most strongly about, like emotionally and personally. I'm so happy personally, me as DS, on this very show that I've spent with all you guys for the last goddamn 12 months, right? I was very happy to see that moment, and it's it's probably my favorite moment of my life of 2023.
Interesting. Yeah,
I'm sorry I was so long-winded on that.
It was an unbelievable moment. I still like have the visual like in my head of just being there, the lights being the way they were, like Robbie Lawler's name going around the thing at the top, and just like the music. It was epic feeling. It was like sad feeling. Like there were so many feels.
I teared up. I'm not gonna lie.
It was heavy. Dude.
I almost teared up right now. I'll tell you guys. Like, hey, thank you for letting me just go off. Like, I know it was like 10 minutes, but and I'm sure nobody gives a fuck. But if you care for the sport, you've seen the goddamn fights. Like, it makes you feel something. So anyway, I'm sorry.
So just a couple, I guess, other moments that we want to shout out really quick.
Yeah. Oh, there's many good ones.
I like the John Jones post-fight speech.
The
bad. And like the whole Stipe, I'm coming for
you.
Hey,
that's how we greeted him, by the way. When
I
we
want
saw
you real
him.
bad, Stipe. You know, that was unbelievable.
That was.
I know you enjoy this one. Amanda Nunes's retirement, just kind of like putting the two belts down, and Pena just. And
it was the most cringe moment of 20. We should add one. Most cringe moment.
We'll do that.
We got to add that.
Yeah, for next year.
Don't forget that for next year.
Yeah.
And also, let us know in the comments. What awards do you want to see next year? We're happy to review that shit, right? Like,
about it.
Let us know.
I've responded to every comment that you haven't responded to. So like every comment has been responded to since the beginning of this channel.
I know. For better or worse.
Yeah, so like if you guys want to fucking talk to me. Like, you know, we're here. We're out here. We're answering. But yeah, Juliana Pena seething at that moment.
Oh, that was so cringe, dude.
Hilarious.
I've never seen somebody more Delulu.
Makachev Volk won the ending of that fight, just with Volkanovski ending up on top, raining down the punches, like the visual, absolutely nuts.
Oh my god!
How about Yuri and Alex's walkouts? And the stare down was fucking intense.
Shit!
Probably the most intense stare down I've fucking seen.
Intense stare down, arguably of all time. Yeah.
It was crazy. And obviously, I'm a huge Yuri fan, as you guys all know. Shout out Yuri Prochazka. He follows this channel, by the way.
He does follow this channel, as you should, at the 107MMA.
On Instagram, he also follows us, just saying. So,
stuff.
Yuri's everywhere. And then Izzy and Drickus, the moment at 290, where Izzy walks in the cage, says some shit.
That's insane. That's another contender for most cringe moment.
Yeah, but it was funny.
But it was insane. It was insane. I regret that Ian Gary wasn't at this last press conference. I think there might have been a contender in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what's another contender? We didn't have this written down.
What is?
Is Manel Cap
and Izzy at the press conference.
Yeah,
that shit was.
That was crazy,
bro.
That
was crazy.
Holy shit.
Manel Cap is fucking nuts, dude.
He's
I love
nuts.
Manel Cap.
I can't wait to see that guy fight again.
One more. I'll throw another one. Maybe it's not as like funny or like anything like that, but it was. How about Merab and Peter Yan, and Merab just absolutely dominated.
That was
Peter
weird.
Yan.
That was such a weird,
like a weird feeling.
Yeah, it was weird, dude.
You know, I'm a Merab, like a huge Merab
fan. Yeah, I know.
Fan.
Unfortunately, that's one of the things I hate about you.
What the like?
That was.
I remember Dino sitting down, watching that fight, being nervous, whatever, and then the moment, like the last few seconds of that fight, like the last 10, 20 seconds,
dude, weird.
I remember standing up and just being like, literally out loud saying, who the fuck does that to Peter Yan?
Yep.
Nobody. That's the best bantamweight on the fucking planet right there. Like, that's a moment in itself. You know?
I'm not going to say anything.
I'm just saying that's how I felt at that moment.
No, and I respect that, dude. But you know what? It has been a good year.
It's been solid. I think the first half was better than the second.
I agree. Yeah. I agree because, it's interesting because when you look back at our mid-year awards, by the way, who else is doing that for you? Who else is giving you mid-year awards? Nobody. Right. Just letting you know, though. But when you look back on that video, we have a lot of the same answers.
Yeah.
Or at least same, like, honorable mentions. So,
yeah.
Anyway, moving on to, we're on what, Card of the Year now?
Yeah, Card of the Year.
Moving on to Card of the Year, and this is you?
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Sure.
Card of the Year. What was your favorite Card of the Year, Dino Bam Bam?
Okay, so I'm going to throw this out there really quickly. For Card of the Year, I don't want to sound negative. I don't think there was that many, I don't think it was that great of a year in terms of cards. Like, yes, there was some big cards put together. There was some super cards. To me, the one I guess that stood out was UFC 290 International Fight Week.
Yeah.
Again, not to beat a dead horse, that's the card we went to this year in Vegas. It was really fun. Yeah, go for it, dude. So, UFC 290, right? It had 2 title fights, Dino, which is always nice on a card, right? You always want to see that. But not just 2 title fights.
You know what's interesting? Topology has only 5th.
Well, it is what it is. But UFC 290 International Fight Week. 2 title fights, right?
We were
Alexander
there.
Volkanovski beating Yair.
And it was after the first Makhachev fight. So
right.
I'm sure there were some more doubters than there have been at that point. He was pound for pound number 1.
Absolutely.
And maybe he still might have been at that point.
And fighting probably the scariest striker at 145 in Yair Rodriguez, a guy that can really fucking decapitate you.
And has subs too.
And as we saw earlier in the year, has subs, right? So there was that. Before that, absolute barn burner of a fight for the world title at flyweight between Pantoja and Moreno. Unbelievable fight.
Oh, that was an unbelievable fight.
Dude, we had,
and we were there. I have to keep saying it because I every fight that you mentioned, I put myself back in there. I'm like in the situation.
Yeah. We had Bo Nickel on him, which is a crazy thing to see. We had, unfortunately for us,
I know,
Dricus du Plessis beating Robert Whittaker via knockout, which was absolutely shocking. So many first-round finishes. I remember, between every fight on the prelims.
I can't believe Dan Hooker beat Jalen Turner. I was hurt 2 fights in a row bad. I was hurting bad.
I feel you. And then, by the way, the entire prelims, I felt like every fight finished within 60 seconds.
Yeah, it was done. Yeah.
Dude, it was ridiculous. I would sit down at my seat. Somebody would get knocked the fuck out. And I'd be like, I guess smoke break because we have 20 minutes till the next fight.
Yeah.
And it was like I'd go buy a fucking water bottle and go outside and smoke. Our vapes were dead by the main card because of how much we were meeting up to smoke. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Because there was so much downtime. Yep. But yeah, I guess for me, that's Card of the Year.
I just want to say we forgot to mention somebody, and maybe you feel differently, but what about Esteban Ribovics for Newcomer of the Year? I know
he's an R boy.
Yeah, he's an R boy. He could have been up there.
Yeah.
So
he was on that card too. It was the first fight, right?
That's why I was looking at it. Yeah. So that's why I was reminded of it. So, yeah. I mean, listen, UFC 290. Let's be honest, it was my personal favorite card of the year. Right? Okay. I can't deny that. If I denied that, I'd be a goddamn liar. Right. But for me, I have to go with UFC 285. It was the return of the goddamn GOAT, John Jones in the main event, taking on Cyril Gane, finished his ass like a little bitch. We also had Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko.
Huge upset.
The first fight. Huge my girl in Alexa Grasso. Huge your girl in Valenta
Shevchenko.
Valentina Shevchenko. And for it to end in submission, crazy. We also had Shavkat just dominating Jeff Neal. This was the card where Shavkat really established himself as a true fucking contender. Unfortunately, we saw Mateusz Gamrot rob Jalen Turner, in my opinion, potentially. We also had a Bo Nickel fight. So, look at those fights. We had one of the Cody Garbrandt fights on here. We had Dricus du Plessis taking on Derek Brunson, where he won again. We had Amanda Ribas, a fan favorite, and a good women's fighter, taking on Vivian Araujo. And beating her. Marc-Andre Barrio versus Julian Marquez, whatever. We had Ian Gary on this card. This was a massive card, man.
It was a huge
We had
card.
Cameron Simon, who I'm looking forward to seeing. This is another guy that could have been on
Yeah, but I don't like him.
Yeah, I know that, but whatever. Tabitha Ricci's fine ass, Fareed Basharat. These were massive fights. In my opinion, this is a huge card, and it was a great event. There were a lot of finishes. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 finishes out of 14 fights, and the ones that weren't finishes were great fights. So
and also, Dino, with that card, I know you said it right at the beginning, but there was the entire card. The entire card, you're just waiting for John Jones.
Exactly, dude.
And it's such
everything
a
is more like
everything's so elevated.
Yeah.
You know, you're on the prelims and like you're watching, you're enjoying this sick ass fight, and then that sick ass fight finishes, and you're like, "Fuck, dude, we're like 2 hours away, and it's about to be fucking John Jones." Like, what
literally,
is going on?
Okay, literally like Drickus just fought, or like fucking whoever just fought, like Shavkat just fought, and you're like, how much time until John Jones? Like that's how good the card was.
Yeah,
the card was, you know.
But anyways, honorable mentions. I'm just gonna throw out there. I really did enjoy UFC 287 in Miami. That was Pereira Adesanya 2. That was Gilbert Burns, George Masvidal. Rob Font knocked out Adrian Yanez.
Ah, that was a great card.
Kevin Holland knocked out Ponzinibbio.
Oh, that was such a good card,
and
dude.
And C-Rod defeated undefeated Raul Rosas. That was a really good main card.
That was a great card.
Joe Pfeiffer beat Gerald
I won money
Mearshart.
on that too, by the way. On C-Rod.
Unreal card. And you know where that took place? In Miami.
Why don't they come to Chicago? I know you said that, but what? Miami. Why don't they come to Chicago anymore, by the way? Ever.
I don't know.
What the fuck?
They're going to fucking Saudi. They're going to Paris. They're going to Ireland.
Fuck that, but look at the dirt-ass towns are coming here.
And then they're like
UFC, Jacksonville,
right? UFC Fight Night, and then they'll do like Fight Nights, fucking Raleigh. I'm like, fam, we have the UC. It's the biggest stadium in the NBA. You guys used to come here every June. They used to come for my fucking birthday.
Bro, I've gone to 3 UFC events before here,
and they don't come anymore. Ever since the Rona.
Weird.
Ever since the Rona, they're like,
yeah.
Straight up.
All right. Anyway, you all good with that?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. The next category on the official 10-7 MMA first annual MMA award, or UFC Awards, really.
Yeah.
We're going with Submission of the Year.
Mm-hmm. And some call it the Sub of the Year. But that's like, you know, if you're in the industry.
Because it could be like a hoagie.
Right. Subway. Like.
For me, it's got to be, and you're going to hate this, but I got to go with Grasso over Valentina Shevchenko. I know that it wasn't like the most technical sub. It wasn't like the most advanced submission. It was, for me, just the gravity of the situation, and especially the fact that, what is Alexa Grasso known for? Her boxing, right? So for her to get a submission finish after getting Valentina her ended up on the ground, nobody saw that coming. For me, I have to go with it, right? And again, skill-wise, of course there were better submissions, right? Like, there were many better submissions that I could have picked.
I mean, yeah, there were some good ones, but
there weren't that many. You know what? Which one sticks in my mind? And I don't think it's on any of these lists, or it's probably not going to be mentioned here, but it's Damon Blackshear's Twister. The Twister submission, the third ever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I respect that, man.
Yeah. My sub of the year is very similar to what you were saying. The gravity here for sure played into it. John Jones. It was John Jones versus Cyril Gane. What made that one a little different, Dino, was it was so weird looking. Like, I feel like the vast...
I wasn't even sure he had a submission in.
That's what I'm saying. The vast majority of people, me included, like, was like, what the fuck? Like, I knew he tapped because this guy got up and started celebrating, but it was like, what happened?
Bizarre.
Like, I guess it was a choke, but, like, can we see another angle? And then it's like every angle you see, it's like two fucking fat dudes, like, their chests up to you. You can't see what the fuck's going on in there. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
he tapped, and then there's that image of Jones walking away and Cyril Gane just looking, like, shocked.
He's like
type shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Type shit.
Fuck him. He was talking a lot of shit, too, bro. Fuck him. John Jones smoked him. Yeah, honorable mentions, the Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Jeff Neal, where you just got him in, like, that standing, like, I guess it was like a guillotine, like a RNC, but it was like a bulldog choke.
Jeff Neal was unfortunately on the receiving end of, like, several, like, he's a good fighter. He didn't, like, do that, like, he had some downsides. But
I also...
We've already mentioned him twice in 2 different fights. He got rocked.
Poor guy. I also bet him, I bet Shavkat round 3 sub, which is absolutely insane.
Wow.
On that card, as we know, we've mentioned this before, I got caused a lot of money. But anyways, I did hit that bet, which was really nice.
Yeah.
Yair Rodriguez submitting Josh Emmett with the triangle was
that was
filthy.
probably skill-wise my favorite one of the year.
Yeah, and then Burns.
I love a good triangle. Dude. I love a good triangle.
Yeah, triangles are filthy.
You know, one time I got a triangle on a person, and I was shook because, like, I'm like 6'2" and like 260 pounds, and like the person I did it on was like much smaller. So it's like, how'd you get that bitch up? Like,
Right, you should have like squirmed out.
yeah, you know. Probably because my thighs were thick as fuck. Them bitches be touching, so they're like, there's not enough space here.
Right, you're just suffocating.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Burns and Magny would be another one I would mention. He just took him down immediately, got the sub with the arm triangle. It was cool.
Neil Magny had a bad year.
Nah. Yep.
Damn, got it.
We good, man.
Anyway, moving on to a very exciting category, the 7th of the first annual 10-7 MMA Awards. We have got the knockout of the year.
It was a good one.
It is a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be real. If you're a casual, what are you watching this for?
You want to see somebody get knocked the fuck out.
You're trying to see somebody get knocked the fuck out. Right. Exactly.
Are you doing this thing? Hey.
It's a knockout of the year. I've got to go, man. And I know we've already talked about this. I have to go with Izzy versus Alex.
Yeah.
I picked Robbie Lawler for my moment of the year because I had to. It felt so right. It felt more right than anything on this entire card for me. But I can't possibly go through an awards season of the UFC of 2023 without mentioning that. So for me,
it has to win something for you.
Oh, it's got to. And the gravity of the situation, and not just the gravity. Let's be real. Like, he was against the fucking fence, just like he was in the first fight. It was a tough fight, back and forth, and like shoot, like dodge, and then like but the second punch, I was like, oh, like, and it was like
so wild.
It was like, what? No way. And then the fact that like he was so out, like his head snapped against it. I was like, holy shit. And like you said, like everything you said before, the celebration, the goddamn arrows, the fucking with his cat. So childish, but goddamn.
It's like right on brand though.
Like,
you know?
Dead ass me, I was in my crib watching it by myself, and I was like, oh, like I was jumping up and down, screaming, like so.
Shit was crazy.
That was the only moment like that I wasn't there live this year that made me feel that way. So it's very straightforward for me. What do you think?
Yeah, for me, knockout of the year, I went a little bit of a different route. I went Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. It was a nasty head kick. It was very nice.
Oh, it was nice. And fuck, like to get that kind of finish in that kind of fight in their second fight too, like
right in the middle of the cage. It's like a rematch. He did it right in the middle of the cage.
And it was fairly close, like, you know.
Yeah, it was like, shit, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And to finish Dustin Poirier, like, via knockout, it was crazy.
Especially compared to what Conor has been able to do, nothing.
Right, I guess, yeah.
So, fuck.
Like, it was filthy, dude. It was a clean head kick. It meant a lot. He got the BMF title for whatever the fuck that's worth. That might lead Justin Gaethje to a title shot. I will say...
I know that, what's his name's pushing for it? What's the... Abdelaziz.
Yeah, well, he gets double paid, so why the fuck wouldn't he be down for that?
Why does he get double paid?
Both of their agents.
Oh, he is.
So he's probably all about that cake.
Oh, my God. I didn't even think about that.
But yeah, I did want to say the knockouts this year, and we are going to say some honorable mentions, but the knockouts this year, no knockout, and kind of like card of the year, kind of like so many of the awards this year, no knockout really stuck out to me. There was no Chandler Tony Ferguson knockout.
It was a down year for that.
There was no Leon Usman knockout, right? Yeah. There was no Masvidal Askren knockout this year. So I am going Gaethje Dustin. Honorable mentions. We just saw one this week, a fucking brutal one with Josh Emmett and Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell.
I have that written down too, man. That was a fucking brutal one. My goodness.
That one's brutal.
You've got to mention, and this is what I had as my pick in the mid-year awards, is the Bonfim Flying Knee versus Terrence McKinney.
Yeah, our boy,
T-Rex. Our boy. But fuck, man, that was brutal, and that was real bad.
Elvis Brenner, Kanan Krzyzewski, maybe like a month ago.
Like a little more than that, probably. But yeah,
absolutely filthy. Diego Ferreira, Michael Johnson.
Oh, that was the one where he was literally snoring. Like,
yeah, that was the one where I texted you
because it was the perfect combo. Exactly, it was a perfect combo of like chin swipe, back of the head hits, and he was dead ass. Like
shit was
done.
Brutal.
I know you're going to hate this, but I have to mention it. And because of the weight of the situation, like I said, Sean O'Malley knocking out Aljamain Sterling.
So I want to argue that.
I know it wasn't a walk-off knockout.
Fuck the walk-off aspect of it. And we talked about this, and I need to point this out for my own being. I need to feel good about this. TKOs, I don't think can be walkout or can be knockout of the year. I don't think a TKO can be a knockout of the year. Like Aljo's on his knees. He's on his hands and knees. And then he drops to his back, and he's, like, I don't know that a TKO can be a knockout of the year.
But who did that to Aljamain anytime?
That's fine.
Even close to that.
Right, but, like, that, that could be the case about so many people. Like, is Alex knocking out Yuri a knockout of the year contender? No. And it's very similar.
No, but let's be real. Yuri
might have been more out than Aljo.
No, Yuri's not what Aljo is.
But I'm saying Yuri might have been more out than Aljo.
Oh, he was. He was.
Right. So it's just like...
But that's what I'm saying. It's the gravity.
There was no gravity to that. We just said it was a fucking tense moment.
No, it was, but it's not like he was, bro. The gravity is exactly how you describe him. The GOAT of the bantamweight division.
I get you, man. I'm just saying there were better knockouts than that by a couple. Umar Nurmagomedov's knockout was filthy. The head kick, and he grabbed the dude's head.
I also have to argue, Robbie Lawler's knockout versus Nico Price is a top 10 knockout for me this year.
It was very nice, man. And Royval and Nicolau.
Makhachev versus Volk, 2.
Again, TKO. Like, I know.
I know, but it was bad, dude. He was fucked up. Like,
I feel.
And again, the weight of the situation, given how the first fight went, you gotta include it. You gotta mention it.
That's fair.
So,
but yes, I just want to say this. So for next year, just so you know, and so for you guys know my criteria, I don't do TKOs. I just can't. To me, it's like a knockout. I feel like everything plays into knockout of the year. It's the way you hit the guy, the way he falls matters.
It does.
Like,
it does.
You know what I mean? Is he stiffened up? Does he go face first? Like, there's so many things. Pause, by the way, about is he stiffened up? But but yeah, like I think it all plays into it, and I think a TKO is like some crazy shit has to go down for a TKO to be a knockout of the year.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I think in the times that it is, it's when you're not expecting it, and it's the gravity of the situation.
Okay.
So, but anyway, moving on. 2. And these are our last 3 categories coming up here, okay? It's the male fighter of the year. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the fight of the year. It's the female fighter of the year. And it's the male fighter of the year.
We're not doing a them fighter of the year this year.
We're not doing a they-them fight of the year.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Fuck off.
Next year's 2024. We might need to get with the times. No? You don't want to do that?
Not me, brother.
Okay, hey, let's get it.
And that's fine. Listen, if you're a they-them, please like and subscribe. You can find us on Instagram at...
Let's go, shit.
But I don't give a fuck. You're more than welcome here.
All right.
You know? It's just like...
You don't got a category here.
Like, don't... If you're trying to fight little girls, you know, don't do all that. Just go fight them now and see how that goes for you.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyway, first of the 3 categories, fight of the year.
Why don't you tell us, Dino? Well, what is...
No.
Well, I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay. So, fight of the year. Again, another category that I mentioned. Where I don't think we necessarily had that Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje of a couple years ago.
I agree.
We didn't have like that.
No, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, so I think a down year overall.
Yeah.
But what do you got?
I think there are really there's only 2 options.
Yeah.
And we were close enough on or at least I was close enough on these where when you told me what you were going to pick for this fight, I went the other direction. And I do agree that, again, gravity comes into play. I think that my pick, I believe, is actually the true, like, physically best fight. Like, if you're just a newbie, putting on the TV, you're watching the fights.
You don't know who these people are.
But you know it's for a belt or whatever, right? Like, I think my pick is the true best fight. I think your pick is the actual number 1 if you take everything into consideration.
Okay.
For me, it's got to be Pantoja Moreno 3. We were there, of course, again. UFC 290. Pro-Mexico crowd. Unbelievable, right? The fact that it's the third, it's a trilogy, right? And there was enough time between them. It wasn't like the Figueiredo Moreno
17 fights.
Exactly, in like a month and a half. Right. Like, so the fact that it was the third fight, the fact that it was such a pro-Moreno crowd, right? There was, because Yair was on there, Grasso was on there.
No, she wasn't on there.
Oh, she wasn't?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. She wasn't.
But there was a lot of.
There was a lot of Mexican fighters. Oh, I'm thinking. Yeah, Haregui.
Yasmin Haregui. Yeah.
The pace of the fight, like in the beginning, Pantoja came out like a goddamn bat out of hell. Like this dude went so goddamn hard and pretty much fucked Brandon Moreno up pretty bad in the first round. And then second round came out and holy shit, all of a sudden Pantoja's very gassed and Brandon Moreno's working the jab. He's landing good shots. You know, and then towards the end of the round, Pantoja, and he looked very gassed still, lands a nice knee, and just the pace of the fight was insane. And after Pantoja was, like, very tired, right? Like, you're like, oh, shit, this guy's done. He wasn't done. He just kept coming again. So, the actual back and forth in the fight, plus the history for me, I've got to go with this fight, right? So, you know, and it's tough for me, too, because you know how much I love Brandon Moreno, and it's weird picking a fight where he lost. But I'm not picking, like, who's my guy, right? I'm picking, what was the actual fight of the year?
Yeah.
So, for me, that has to be it. Yeah, it just has to be.
And a split decision.
And it was a split decision. And I think I told you on the moment, this is how you know I'm fair. I watched it, and I was like, fuck. I think Pantoja won that.
You know what's funny is...
And it was close.
Here's my thing. I had it 3-2 Pantoja live.
Yeah.
When I rewatched the fight recently, I guess for last week, when, you know, when we had Pantoja fighting again, I was watching film. Scored it 4-1 for Pantoja upon rewatching it.
I don't believe that for a second.
That's just what I saw.
I don't believe that for a second.
I remember 3-2 live and being adamant.
How come we don't have the little...
We'll put it back, you know, at some point. But I remember being there live and being certain...
You're going to put that in my mouth? Smart.
No. But being certain, Dino, that it was 3-2 for Pantoja, like 100%. I know what I just saw.
No,
it's 3-2.
I hate that you said that right now.
But look, I know when I was there, I was like, it's 3-2. I'm certain of it. That's what it was. But then... talking to people in the crowd, asking the people next to me, and them saying it was 3-2 Moreno really had me shook.
Well, there was a lot of Mexicans.
Right, and I'm sure, like, you know, that played into it, but yeah.
And I love my Mexicans.
Unbelievable fight.
Because they could...
Shout out Mike Epps.
I love that you knew exactly what I was saying with that.
But yeah, unbelievable fight. A lot of people's fight of the year. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
For me,
what is yours?
I had to go the other way with it, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course. This is the only other one that is really in contention this year.
Islam Makhachev, Alexander Volkanovski won back in Atlanta down under, you know what I'm saying? Back in Perth. Back in Perth, Australia in February at UFC 284.
Yep.
Unbelievable fight. You got to think about
Type shit, gang shit.
Right. Before that fight, you got to think about what we were thinking going into that fight. You have the GOAT, the arguable GOAT of the 145-pound division in Alex Volkanovski.
Nobody was really giving Volk a shot, dude.
Nobody was giving Volk a shot at all, right? And he's the GOAT of 145. Nobody's giving him a chance. Here comes Islam Makhachev, who's supposed to be this guy that's absolutely unstoppable in a division above you. He's younger, he's bigger, he looks like he's that dude. You know what I'm saying? He's coming to your neck of the woods to fight you in Australia.
What do you think he drinks?
Islam? Water. But anyway, so he goes out there, and not only does Alex Volkanovski make the fight competitive, he fucking makes it beyond competitive to the point where a lot of people think he won that fight. There were many people that thought he won that fight. A lot of people think he won that fight. And the way that fight ended, which is why it was nominated for our moment of the year, or it was an honorable mention in our moment of the year, the end of that fight's insane. With Alex Volkanovski raining shots down on an exhausted Islam Makhachev.
And, be willing, first of all, off the bat, willing to go to the ground with them.
And, Dino, the narrative that fight finished with is...
And he's small.
If this, there's like that whole Nate Diaz concept of like, if this was a real fight, like I'd kill that guy. It's like... If there was no time,
I don't know. It's like I'm not sure now. I thought I knew exactly.
He might, you know what I'm saying? So it was absolutely insane. Islam, of course, gets the unanimous decision.
Damn, I'm so glad you said that. That's such a good point.
But yeah, so a lot played into that fight. Yeah, man, that's the one for me. The only other fight I would throw at all anywhere near these two fights is Gaethje and Fiziev.
Yeah. You know what? And I lost money on that too, and I felt really good about it through a round and a half.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. That fight was a tale of two halves. It was Fiziev in the first, and it was Gaethje in the second half. And
that was fucking crazy, though. And I remember Fiziev saying it, and it's crazy because I literally said it to like whoever I was watching the fight with. I was like, dude, every fucking shot Gaethje's landing seems like it's doing so much damage. Yeah. And then I heard, like, at the end of the fight, like, Fiziev was like, oh, man, like, every shot, like, it would do damage. It's like, oh, my God.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That's literally what I thought, dude.
And the funny thing is, shout out Rafael Fiziev. Hopefully, he gets better soon. He got injured at the end of this year.
What are the worst injury of the year, like, just from, like, a talent and, like, what I want to see perspective.
So that's what I was getting at, right? We know any single time Justin Gaethje
it's the Aspinall of last year, like, in terms of injuries. Like.
Yeah, sort of. But what I want to say is we know Justin Gaethje, and we've mentioned it every time Justin Gaethje fights over here. Anytime Michael Chandler fights, which he hasn't fought, I guess, this year. But Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, like, those are the guys that you know, like, you know what? If they're fighting, shit's about to hit the fucking fan. Rafael Fiziev is in that with them.
He should be, man. And, and I hope he is considered in that because he deserves to be.
So he's that guy. So we knew Gaethje Fiziev was going to be a car crash. Mm-hmm. We didn't know we were going to be given and blessed with such a good fight.
Crazy.
Yeah. So just
crazy.
That's kind of where it ends for me.
And you broke it down perfectly, my boy. Moving on to our second to last category of the evening. And we're on Fighters of the Year.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to start with the ladies.
Yep.
What is your female fighter of the year for 2023?
All right, my female fighter of the year, maybe not the most popular or obvious choice here. I'm going with Amanda Nunes. She only fought one time this year, right? So that's a lot of the argument that people are going to have with Amanda Nunes. But you know what, Dino? She's a goat of the sport. She had one fight this year defending her title. She absolutely dominated that fight.
Beyond.
From bell to bell. It was
and the fighter that she beats. How about this?
Yeah.
It goes to show you how highly regarded the fighter that she beat the fuck out of still is. Even after that.
What she just did this last week, right?
Yeah.
Irene Aldana looked really good this last week. It was
we forgot to mention them, dude. For fight of the year.
Them too.
Irene Aldana and Carol Rosa this past weekend.
Yeah, right now we're gonna put up
I would say
little image right here on the screen right now of them two. Honorable mention. Yeah,
it needs to be mentioned because it in my opinion, it's the second greatest women's fight of all time.
Yeah, dude, it was unbelievable. I was sitting down and I was like, I wasn't enjoying the card very much to be honest.
It's not a good card. Dude.
And then I remember
you had high hopes for it, but it wasn't a good card.
And then I remember watching that and I was like. I was upset. I don't remember what happened right before that. Something had upset me like one or two fights before that.
Yeah.
Like I missed on a bet, something. And
I won $1,000 on the last bet.
I know, I saw that. Congrats on that, by the way. But
by the way, we're coming out with this in 2024. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
DS's safety parlay. So it's coming 2024. I won $1,000 off $20 this past weekend. Just saying. So anyway, I'm sorry.
But yeah, that was awesome. It was a really good fight. I just remember sitting there and being like, God damn, like, what a fight. But anyways, back to Amanda Nunes for Fighter of the Year. Yes, she only fought once. She absolutely dominated in her title fight. Do you know she's a GOAT of the sport?
Of course.
And for me, having Amanda Nunes get her moment where she gets to retire the way she wants, laying the two belts down, laying the gloves down on top. I hate to see stars go out on bottom like we're seeing, unfortunately, with Tony Ferguson.
No, we talked about it with Lawler.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to see it when it happens, especially in this business.
Right.
And the women's side is not as brutal, but hell, she's goddamn dominant, man.
Yeah.
She is the best of the best. There's no dispute.
Yeah.
She's the best.
So, yeah, Amanda Nunes for me, man.
Yeah, I respect that. For me, and maybe I'm biased because it's my girl, I have to go with Alexa Grasso. I know that it wasn't, like, on paper necessarily, like, the best of the best. But for me...
best.
But for me, the fact that she beat Valentina the first time when nobody expected her to, on its own is just amazing. And then the fact that she beat Valentina the second... Or she had a draw the second time, I'm sorry. But retained her title the second time was in its own right incredible. Did she lose it? Potentially. But she at least still made it a close fight again when many people expected her not to, right? So... When's the last time Alexa Grasso lost, dude? It was to Carla Esparza in 2019. So
I'm gonna be a hater. Here.
She only fought twice.
She lost the last fight.
I thought she did too. As a Grasso fan, I thought she did too. Mm-hmm. But the fact that she didn't on paper, I have to go with it. The fact that she maintained her belt, even in a rematch, and it was close enough for me to still give her the respect. I have to go with Grasso.
I feel you. Just to play a little devil's advocate, like even though yes, she didn't lose the fight, 1-0-1 for me, and maybe this is just a personal thing. I think losing or not being
it's just a personal thing. It's not you.
Shout out Dickie. But yeah, for me, it's like I think you have to be undefeated for Fighter of the Year. That's just my personal thought process.
No, yeah,
and we talked about this a lot.
And she is undefeated.
I guess she's undefeated, unbeaten. You know, like all that bullshit.
She is.
Yeah, but whatever. She didn't win all her fights
against your GOAT.
She didn't win all her fights
against your GOAT.
Right, but you're 1-0-1.
No, I get it.
A lot of girls went 2-0 this year.
Respect.
You don't. That's just my thing.
I get it.
It's like you have to
I
win
get
all
it.
your
Again,
fights to be fighter of the year.
I thought Valentina did win the second fight.
Dino,
but it was close enough, and nobody expected it. Nobody expected to even be close to the first fight.
Right, I
so
get that.
I have to go with her.
And that's
She's
cool.
a champ.
Let me throw one more thing out.
Also, if there was an award that we're doing for the nicest call out of all time, it'd be Whaley. It'd be her and Whaley.
Hey, you wanna...
Whaley and Grasso. Hey, champion.
Right. Hey, champion. You trying to do this? Like, okay.
Okay, can't wait.
Right,
right.
But one more thing. When it comes to a fighter, a fighter.
When it comes to a fighter,
hey, not having won all of their fights in a year, Dino.
Yeah.
The only way that I can pick that person to be fighter of the year would be outstanding circumstances. Like, for example, if Alex Volkanovski had beat Islam in the second fight. Yes, you lost in the first fight, but then you came back and got like double champ status. It would have to be something along those lines.
Respect.
For me to take a fighter that hasn't won all their fights. But yes, Alexa Grasso, she's going to be everybody's female fighter of the year.
Yeah.
And well-deserved, man. She went from...
Well, you didn't make it sound so well-deserved.
No, it's well-deserved. I just don't think she won that second fight.
No. Honorable mention, Erin Blanchfield.
1,000%.
Erin Blanchfield.
1,000%.
I think I predicted her to be the champ of the division at the midweight point. So, yeah, I think she would have been in the conversation if she had fought a little bit more. Why did you only fight 2 times, you know? It's not like you were in, like, title contention. Like, you were in title contention maybe, but you weren't really, like, fighting for the title. So, I'd like to see a little bit more activity. Erin Blanchfield, though, very much a contender, very much a woman that I'm very excited to see in 2024.
Yeah, she's awesome, man. I think the ceiling is the roof, as Michael Jordan would say.
Basliwa.
Yeah.
And we're now here. We're at
Let's do it.
Our last category for the evening in the official first annual 10-7 MMA Awards.
Yeah.
And it's Male Fighter of the Year.
It is.
And I'll go first on this one. And for me, the choice is clear. Whether you like him or you don't, I've got to go with Islam Makhachev. Right? He is unbelievable. He really showed us, you know. And despite how close the first fight was between Makhachev and Volk, yeah. the finish in the second fight was just unbelievable. And the fact that he got the head kick, and compared to how the first fight went, right, and how close it was, and, you know, most people think he won. That's fine. However you feel about that. Volk was still, like, pound for pound number 1. People had a lot of questions about Islam. Like some people were like, fuck, Volk's going to fuck him up. So the fact that I know he didn't fight a lot of people in his actual weight class this year.
Actually fought none.
None.
Yeah.
He actually fought just Volk twice, right? We would have loved to see him fight Charles Oliveira. And I know the second fight was on short notice. But for me, it's the eye test, really, right? I saw enough to know that whether you like him or you don't, Islam Makhachev is here to stay. And so, just thinking. In my opinion, I can't think of a more dominant champion at a certain weight class than Islam Makhachev
at this moment.
In this moment.
Well, I mean, Volk, right? It's them two.
Volk.
Yeah.
But I'm scared for Volk.
Well, after seeing what happened,
he
right?
Not just seeing it, but like knowing that he took that damage.
Yeah.
He's what, 36, like 35,
I feel you.
So. And Ilya's dangerous, man. So, it affects my future thoughts about him. And the fact that I know a short note, and respect to Volk, I'm a huge Volk fan. But seeing him get finished like that, man, I got to go with Islam Makhachev. He just looks like the most dominant champion. I have to give this award to the most dominant champion.
So this is what I wanted to ask you, right? So I feel like we're kind of going different ways with this, right? I feel like you're taking Islam Makhachev here. And what you're saying by taking Islam Makhachev is, this is the best fighter in the UFC.
It's the best fighter in the UFC.
This is the best.
And he did enough this year to show me that.
Right. Again, the only drawback I have with taking it... Okay, so Islam Makhachev 2-0 this year, defended his title twice, right?
Oh, the drawbacks are obvious.
Well, give me a second. Leon Edwards 2-0, defended his title twice, right? Like...
Again, similar situation.
That's what I'm saying.
And actually against a guy in his actual division.
Right. So those two, it's like, was Leon impressive? I don't think Leon was impressive in the Usman or the Colby Covington fight. Was Islam impressive? Islam was very impressive in the second Volk fight. In the first fight, I mean, he looked good.
Yeah.
But then at the end, he didn't like it. But shit, it's like the top two guys going at it, right? So it was just like you looked human. You know, you didn't have like. To me, that's the thing. Islam is the best fighter in the UFC currently. I don't know if I'd give him Fighter of the Year just because of the fact that that first fight was so goddamn close.
It was. But the fact that he still won.
I get it.
And that was really, in my opinion, the first adversity that he's faced.
It is.
In, like, recent times. I'm not saying,
Since
like...
the knockout.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, to still win that against somebody like Volk, like, we can't diminish Volk and who he was in that first fight because they didn't know who each other was.
Right.
They didn't feel it, right? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson, it's that kind of concept. Like, you don't know who Volk is until he lands a shot on you. You don't know who Islam is until he lands a shot on you or grabs you or Volk defends your takedown. You know what I mean? So to have such a close fight and it's the combo of the two for me, right? It's like to have such a close fight and then the next fight have such a dominant finish.
Yeah.
To me, it adds
a
overall
lot
to exponentially.
Right.
You know?
Again, another downplay there to play devil's advocate. It's like, man, the guy had 10 days notice.
I know. I know. And I said that. Like,
it's like if it had been Charles, Dino, if it had been Charles that Islam dominated or knocked out in the second fight, it's like, shit, like, how do you fucking deny the guy? Or if Volkanovski had the full camp and he fucking did what he did to him, there's zero denying. I think he is the best fighter in the world right now. I mean, I in the pound for pound...
I get what you're saying.
Here's what I'm saying. Pound for pound, I'm putting John Jones 1, I'm putting Islam 2. Islam's the best current fighter right now.
I get what you're saying, dude.
Yeah, but anyways, regardless... Islam, it is what it is, man. Great year. I hope to see him defending in March. There's big rumors that might go down. If not, we're probably stuck until October.
To Gaethje?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. My fighter of the year, for me, it's Sean Strickland, man. And
I respect that,
completely different, right? Nowhere near as dominant as Islam Makhachev. Nowhere near as dominant as a lot of these people.
If we did have an upset category of the year, I would easily have... we texted about this earlier.
Yeah.
I said there's only one answer. It's Sean Strickland.
And
I said this to actually. I think I texted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think I texted you this and some of our other boys. At the time it happened, this is the greatest upset in combat sports history in the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's a huge one. Here's what's weird about it. Here's like to me the year of Sean Strickland. Right, 2023 will always be the year of Sean Strickland. He was the final fight of 2022 in the entire UFC. He lost to Jared Cannonier.
Yep.
And then a week or two later, they're like, you want to step in on short notice? We need a short notice replacement for the first card of the year next year. Mm-hmm. Fight night. He's like, fuck it, I'm in there.
Yep.
So dude went on a loss in December of last year, last fight of the UFC, came back, first guy to main event back-to-back UFC cards, which is fucking nuts.
Crazy.
Main evented back-to-back UFC cards, came through, beat Nasruddin Imavov, unanimous decision, outclassed them.
Yeah, it's the worst that Imavov's looked.
Yeah, it's the worst that Imavov's looked. He dominated him there. Then he comes through, and they're like, you know what? Abus Magomedov. And everyone's like, holy shit, here comes this fucking guy, this boogeyman dude.
More like a short boost.
And another main event for Sean Strickland, and Abus gets gassed out.
Yeah.
Sean Strickland TKOs him. Dude fucks him up.
Bad.
What happens? Dricus du Plessis does not take the title shot with Izzy. Right guy, right place, right time.
He should have. I mean, and it's unfair that they asked him to, but like, that was the next guy if all things were equal.
I mean, it was Dricus. He turned down the title fight. They needed Izzy to fight.
But the Izzy still was the biggest upset ever.
And Sean Strickland comes in, right guy, right place, right time, gets the fight, has to go to Australia and fight Izzy, and fucking beats the shit out of Israel Adesanya.
Yep.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Like, not just like he puts it on his ass for like...
Dropped him in the first round. Set the tone. Like,
bro, to the end of from start to finish, beat him up.
Yeah, there was no...
Just beat him up.
Israel Adesanya, if I remember correctly, won the second round. But like, barely. It was just like a point fest. And in the first round, Sean Strickland had dropped him. And then from that point on, it was nothing but Sean Strickland.
Beat his ass.
So Sean Strickland becomes new. And then that happens in September. And shit, last month, we already get word he's fighting Dricus in January.
Yep.
So Sean Strickland, super active. He's 3-0, man. He went from a guy that was literally ended the year on a main event fight night loss to get him out of the title picture and found himself not only in the title picture, but as a champion less than 365 days later.
That's the choice to make.
Yeah. So
I respect it.
Shout out Sean Strickland. Interested to see what happens with him and Drickus, obviously. Where the fuck... What's up with Jared Cannonier? We got to get Jared Cannonier a shot. I know, like, people don't necessarily want to see it.
We do, but honestly, I think I'm done with him.
Yeah, but he's the last guy to beat Strickland.
That's fine.
And that was his last fight.
Strickland's not, like, unbeatable, you know?
Yeah.
You see him as a long-reigning champion?
I don't, but I'm just saying this guy just beat Sean Strickland and then beat Marvin Vettori.
Well, arguably, though, he might have lost that. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, anyway, listen, 2023 is done. Thank you so much for all of you from the beginning to the end. Whether you came in on the ground floor in January or you just followed tonight, right? Or you're just gonna follow watching this video. We appreciate it. We thank you. I always said right from the beginning, what do I want from this? Is as long as we're having fun doing this, that's all that really matters. So, from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you guys. If you spent 5 seconds watching us, if you fucking hate us, if you love us, if you spent hours and hours watching us, thank you so much. We really, 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 truly appreciate it. Again, we do this shit because we love it. We're going to watch the shit anyway. So thank you for letting us talk shit. Thank you for tuning in. And we're going to post more content. 2024 is going to be big. We're going to move studios to a soundproof studio. We got a lot of big things in the works. If there's anything that you want to mention, that you want us to talk about, that you have questions about, whatever you want to do, man. Messages on Instagram at the107MMA. Comment on this particular video. It doesn't matter.
We're here
right?
for it, yeah.
Dino, I love you, bro. I had a great fucking time, man. I'm glad we finally did this.
It's been a year.
It's been a year. It's been a great year. And I know this is not like we're going to be back next week type shit. But I just want
We're dropping more content before the year's done.
Exactly.
This is like the...
I just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody because, listen, today in 2023, what's the most valuable commodity? In my opinion, it's attention, right? If you give me your attention, I'm not paying for it. I get no money for it. I just appreciate it, right?
Facts.
So thank you for tuning in. Dino, take us out.
Yeah, so just like Dino said, guys, if you enjoyed, do us a favor. Click the little thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do that. Ring the bell. Dino, I'm going to ask you to do the bell one more time. Boo! That's the sound the bell makes. That's the actual sound, not that swole-ass bell you did at the beginning. I don't even remember what it sounded like. There, it was bad. But do that. Follow us on Instagram at the107MMA. Guys, like he said, ton of content coming up for you guys, even at the end of this year and early next year, pre the fights happening. We got some shit cooking up.
Listen, we're not done. We're going to be back literally within like 5 days.
Right.
I just wanted to, again, I got a little, I just want let everybody know. Like,
another turning point, a force. You're like that kind of vibe? Is that what you're on?
I mean, not really, but like, I just thank you, Like, I don't give a fuck if you're watching or not, but I appreciate if you are, is all I'm trying to say.
And shit, I feel the same way. So, guys, that was our award show, the 2023 award show of the year. Next year, we're going to have a lot more awards. We're going to make little trophies, and we're going to send them to these guys.
We will.
We decided we're going to
maybe we'll hand deliver them. But
to the few that we can. Shit.
We're committing right now, minimum 100 videos in 2024.
Minimum. And it's going to be a lot more than that. Guys, you're going to get fucking sick of us, like, really quickly. But, guys, that's the award show. It's been a fun year. Wasn't my favorite year of UFC, but it was my favorite year of being a UFC fan because we got to do this.
Absolutely.
And this shit made me feel like I'm fucking important, like I'm somebody in the community.
It didn't even make me feel like that, but I'm glad you felt that way. But just thank you for spending time with us.
I'm saying.
Like, if there were times you're like you're eating, whatever, like you just want to put some shit on YouTube and you found us, thanks for tuning in, man.
Facts.
You fucking hated us. You talk shit in the comments. Thank you for that, too.
Right.
On gut. Like, I have no hate.
Sometimes we're drunk and we say things.
And we are.
We do, yeah.
And that's a goddamn God's honest fact. But thank you for tuning in. Seriously.
This is a really long-winded goodbye. This is like how foreign people say goodbye.
This
is like the old lady at the door.
You're at the door. You're like, okay, one more thing.
Yeah, so we're not fucking
That's
doing
all there is to say. Take us out.
Guys, he's DS, okay?
We love you.
We used to call him MMA Youngboy. We don't do that very much nowadays. I'm Dino Bam Bam. We are the 107 MMA. Thank you so much for watching. 2023 was lit. Peace.